Hey guys, this is Mrs. Cofield, and I want to welcome you back to the Operations on the Real Numbers course. Today is lesson number 6, and we're going to be adding fractions, mixed numbers, and decimals. Let's dig in. Now, before we go too far, let's review what we said yesterday. Yesterday, we said there are only two operations. Now, who out there can tell me what those two operations are? Yes, you got it. Those two operations are addition and multiplication. Now, we also talked about something very special to me. It's called the main principle of addition. And I showed you a rap, and it goes like this. The only things you can add are the same things, and when you add the same things, you get the same things. Now, it's awesome if you can remember that, because the only things that you can ever add are the same things. And when you add the same things, you're going to get the same things. That's very important, okay? Let's try some examples. 2/3 plus 5/3. Are those the same things? Thirds plus thirds. Yes, they are the same things. So if we add those two up, 2 plus 5 is 7. So our full answer is 7/3. And now what about this example here? We have 2/3 plus 4/5. What are the things? Those things are thirds and fifths. Do those add up? No, they don't add up because they ain't the same things. It just doesn't work. It's not possible, okay? So, there's a key idea that I want you guys to know today, though. Sometimes, if you're clever, you can convert different things into the same things, okay? Now, let's talk money. Let's talk about money. Let's say, for example, you have 2 quarters plus 3 dimes. Are quarters and dimes the same things? No, they're not the same things. But I know what you're doing. I know the brain is a special thing, and it does like this special process because you're trying to make sense of it. Like, I know they can add up somehow. But what you have to do is convert those to the same things, okay? So if we're converting quarters and dimes, what same things would those be? They would be cents. Does that make sense? Oh my God. Quarters and dimes are cents. So if you convert them, now you can have 2 quarters, which equals 50 cents, and then 3 dimes, which is equal to 30 cents. And if you add cents and cents, you get more cents, okay? But how much more? So if it's 50 plus 30 all together, that is 80 cents, okay? So you're going to add cents and get cents. Now, what about adding fractions? In order to add fractions, you have to get a common denominator. That's also known as a CD. So here we go. Let's add. So 2/3 plus 4/5, okay? So right now, these are not the same things. Therefore, it's not possible to add them like I mentioned before. This is that same example. But now we're going to take it through a process where we convert it in order to get the same things. Now, in order to get a common denominator, all you have to do is multiply the denominators, okay? So let's do that together. The denominators are 3 and 5. So let's multiply 3 times 5. That gives us 15, okay? So our new common denominator will be 15ths. Let's try it and see how it works as we convert thirds and fifths into 15ths. So let's take our first one, 2/3, multiply it by a form of 1, that's 5/5, and if you multiply them straight across, you get 10/15. Now let's convert the 4/5. You convert it by multiplying by that other form of 1, which is 3/3. Do you notice that these are like the opposite denominators? So once you multiply them straight across, 4 times 3 is 12/15, okay? So now that they're the same things, you can add them together. 10/15 plus 12/15 gives us 22/15. So if we put in our original question, 2/3 plus 4/5 is equal to the 22/15. Let's try another one like that. This time we're going to add 1/2 plus 3/7. Okay, let's talk about it. We have halves and we have sevenths. Are those the same things? No, they're not the same things. So therefore, we're going to take it through that same process and we have to convert. Now this time if we convert by multiplying by the denominators, 2 times 7, that gives us 14, okay? So now we can convert those halves and those sevenths into 14ths. Let's go. 1/2. Multiply it by 7/7, you get 7/14. Now take the 3/7, multiply it by 2/2, and then you get 6/14. Now that they're the same things, we can add. So 7/14 plus 6/14 equals 13/14. Okay? Now let's substitute back in our original question. 1/2 plus 3/7 equals 13/14. How simple was that? Let's try another. This time, we're going to add writing our answer in simplest terms. And you know what I mean by simplest terms. That means you got to remove any unnecessary ones if they're in the question, okay? Here we go. 1/4 plus 3/8. If we were to add these two together, is that possible? Fourths plus eighths? No, they're not the same things. Therefore, we have to take them through the process of getting a common denominator. We're going to find our CD by multiplying 8 times 4. Now, when you multiply 4 times 8, you get 32. So our denominator is going to be 30 seconds. So here we go. Let's convert these fourths and eighths into 30 seconds. Here we go. 1/4 times 8/8 equals 8 30-seconds. And 3/8 times 4/4 gives us 12 30-seconds. Now that we have the same things, we can add them together. 8 30-seconds plus 12 30-seconds gives us 20 30-seconds. So 1/4 plus 3/8 is equal to 20 30-seconds. But, are we done yet? No, we're not done yet because this is actually not in its simplest form. We can simplify 20 30-seconds. And the way we do that is by factoring out a form of 1. Is there anyone out there that can tell me what are the factors that can go into both 20 and 32? Yes, 4/4. That's our form of 1 that we're going to be factoring out. So we have to remove any unnecessary ones when they don't belong in order to simplify, okay? So 4/4 times 5/8, that's what originally gives us that 20 30-seconds. But if we factor out that 1 and get rid of that unnecessary 1, then our final answer is going to be 5/8. That's our simplified form, okay? But what if you were like, we could have taken a shortcut. We didn't necessarily have to go all the way through all that to get 30 seconds. Maybe you noticed that you could have just taken the fourths and converted them into eighths. Absolutely. Let's do it that way and see how it rolls out. 1/4 plus 3/8. Let's convert the fourths into eighths by multiplying by a form of 1. 1/4 times 2/2 gives us 2/8. Now we're already ready to add. 2/8 plus a 3/8 gives us 5/8. That's the same answer we just had last time. So that was perfect. I want you guys to keep your eyes open and look out for opportunities where you can take a simplified path, such as this one, in simplified form. Next, we're going to add mixed numbers. In order to add mixed numbers, like we said before, just convert them to fractions, okay? You don't want to really work with those mixed numbers. Whenever you get the option to, convert them first. So, for example, if we have 2 3/5 and we wanted to add 1 2/3, first we're going to start by converting those mixed numbers into fractions. Let's go. So, here we go. 2 3/5, when we convert that, we're going to get 13/5. And then when you take the 1 2/3 and convert it, you get 5/3. So now we have two different fractions here. But now we ask that same question. Are they the same things? Let's look at them. We have fifths and thirds. No, they're not the same thing. So you know what we have to do? Get a common denominator. And our common denominator is going to come when you multiply 5 times 3, and that's 15. So our denominator, it's going to be 15ths. So now let's convert our fractions to 15ths. Here we go. So 13 fifths times 3 thirds gives us 39 15ths. 5 thirds times 5 fifths gives us 25 15ths. Now that we have the same things, 15ths, we can add them. Let's go. So 2 and 3 fifths plus 1 and 2 thirds gives us 64 15ths. And if you converted that back to a mixed number, your final answer is 4 and 4 15ths. Beautiful. Let's keep it rolling, guys. You guys are rocking and rolling out there. Now, here's one other thing you should know. If it's obvious, and I mean like super, super obvious, just add it, okay? So for example, if you had 3 and 1/3 and you wanted to add it to 4, look at those whole numbers. Just add the whole numbers. 3 plus 4 is 7. That's 7 and 1/3, okay? Super obvious. You don't have to do much work there, and just keep it moving, okay? So let's keep it moving. But what about adding decimals? Is there anybody out there that can use what we know about adding to add decimals? Here's what you should consider. We keep saying that the only things you can add are the same things. So if you think about the decimals and the families in decimals, that means that you can only add tenths with tenths, hundredths with hundredths, thousands with thousands, and so on and so forth. You can't just mix them all up and go crazy, okay? So let's give an example and let's try it. You got this. So to add decimals, just line up the decimal places and add them as usual. Here we go. So we have 4 and 17 hundredths, and we want to add that to 82 and 6 tenths, okay? So let's start by doing like I said. Let's line up the decimals so that those families are lining up. Our tenths with our tenths and our hundredths with hundredths. So we get 4 and 17 hundredths plus 82 and 6 tenths. We line up that decimal beautifully, and then here's what you do. You add as usual, and you end up with 86 and 77 hundredths. I tell you, adding decimals is very, very easy. So 4 and 17 hundredths plus 82 and 6 tenths gives us 86 and 77 hundredths. Beautiful. So let's go back and recap our 4 main points of today. Number 1, to add, when possible, convert different things into the same things. Number 2, to add fractions, get a common denominator, also known as a CD. Speaking of which, I hope you're going to be getting my CD soon, okay? And then next, to add mixed numbers, convert them to fractions. And lastly, like we just said, to add decimals, simply line up the decimal places and add as usual, okay? So I hope that you guys have gained a ton from today's lesson number 6. We look forward to working with you tomorrow on lesson number 7. If you need help or have any questions, I want you to reach out to your team. Your CI is available and your TA is available, and the Math Corps, we're here to support you. All right, have a wonderful day and take care.